listening to another episode of the Coaster101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and the Coaster101 calendar, if you will, has turned to 2026. So before we get this episode started, want to really quick shout out to everybody who listens, who reads our website, who purchased a Coaster101 calendar. Through your support, we were able to raise $2,500 for a kid again to help their mission of helping critically ill children and their families with adventures and things of that nature. So if you bought a Coaster101 calendar, thank you so much. And if you didn't buy one, we're going to sell them again next year and raise money for a kid again. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to bring in two of my Coaster101 co-writers, and we're going to talk all things 2026. First up, out on the West Coast, he says he's very tired and maybe a little hungover from his New Year's Eve celebrations last night. Dating the podcast that's not going to come out for a couple of days, but whatever. Eric Woolley, welcome back, Eric.
Hi, Andrew. How you doing?
I am great. You know, I think I'm feeling a little bit better than you are today.
Maybe.
Definite maybe. And also over on the East Coast up in New Jersey, Evan Scharf. Evan, what's up, bud?
How's it going, Andrew? Good to be here.
I'm good. Are you hungover today?
No, it was a light New Year's Eve.
Okay, cool. Eric,
you guys don't have as much fun as me. What can I say?
Apparently.
Eric,
and are younger than me.
No, I'm not that much younger than you. You are too old for this.
You're making me look bad.
Anyway, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it is officially 2026. And what good kind of roller coaster podcast would we be if we did not kick off the first show of 2026 without hyping up the roller coasters that are going to open mostly in the United States for the purposes of our listening audience. But we're going to highlight a couple of international coasters as well. And we're just going to get right into it. We're going to kind of run down. There's not a handful. I think really before we get started, we were talking before the show. Guys, when you look at the coasters that are opening in 2026, I don't think it's fair to call this year a letdown after the year that was 2025 that saw Epic Universe, Top Thrill 2, Siren's Curse. We'll throw Six Flags Qiddiya City in there because they technically opened at the very end of 2025. A lot of new coasters, even like Alpenfury, for example.
Mm-hmm.
One of these coasters that is like, I feel like people sleep on because it's in Canada. When you look at the drop off, I guess I'll call it, from 2025 to 2026, do you feel like this is going to be a down year, or are we going to be pleasantly surprised when we see some of the coasters on this list?
Go ahead, Evan.
I feel like this is a gap year. I feel like just based off the star power that was 2025, I feel like 2027 might be ramped up. So definitely excited for what is to come next year, and especially with the Six Flags merger a little bit more solidified and their budget more in place. I think we'll see a little bit more of a stronger year next year. This just feels a little bit like a limbo year for me. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not uncommon to see that, right? A lot of stuff opened last year. I think it's not surprising that, I mean, not necessarily coasters anyway, but like with Epic Universe opening, Universal wasn't going to do a whole ton of stuff in Florida this year. We know for like the Disney parks that there's a lot that's under construction, but probably not opening this year. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, Evan, with the merger still, I think Six Flags Cedar Fair is still cleaning up things with the merger and figuring out their budgets. And I know there was lots of things that got delayed and things that have maybe been rescheduled or plans that changed for some of the parks. So I'm maybe not surprised that there are fewer things opening, but I think there's still a few things on here that are things we've been looking forward to for a while, which is exciting.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're going to start our rundown with, I think, what could be maybe one of the top two coasters in the U.S. I don't know how we're going to rank these things when they eventually come out, but you talk about coming out for a while. We got to talk Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift at Universal Studios Hollywood. we've known this is coming since I think they announced it originally in 2023. You know, leaks and things started happening in like 2022. So we're like 4 years into this. This is this drift coaster from Intamin. I've seen I've seen testing. I've seen this thing just grow on the Universal Studios backlot. And it's a shame we don't have Shane on the podcast, because I know in our year in review, Shane was like, as soon as this opens, I'm going. And I don't know if that's because Shane is a Intamin fanboy or really, really just loves those Vin Diesel car movies. But
He might love those Vin Diesel car movies. That seems like Shane's kind of thing.
I was gonna say that's the way it goes. But Eric, you're out in California. Like, what are your thoughts on Hollywood Drift?
Yeah, I mean it's the most exciting new thing that's been coming to Universal Studios Hollywood in a long time. I mean, I guess Nintendo World was exciting, but I think knowing that like Universal Studios Hollywood's Nintendo World is much smaller than Osaka and now the one in Florida, whereas this is like going to be is this the biggest Universal roller coaster or one of them, and that Universal Hollywood doesn't have a big roller coaster. There's the Short and Mummy and Flight of the Hippogriff, but that's all it is from coasters. I think also that like the construction of this has not been secret. Like you could see the construction from the escalators for the last 2 years. And so I think there's been lots of anticipation for it. I mean, it's also the timeline of it's so interesting because they've been testing it now for a while. I know there was a press release a few months ago where they had pictures of it testing and like POV photos. They still haven't released any POV video of it or anything yet, though. I've got to think it's opening pretty early in the year. That's just because it feels like they've been working on it for a while, but there's probably also theming and building construction that still needs to happen around it. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly the most anticipated coaster from my point of view, not just I think because I'm on the West Coast, but also because we've seen it for so long, because it looks so big, because it's different, because it's a Universal thing with Intamin, and we know they usually make really great rides when they work together. Yeah,
They've got a
very
pretty
excited
good
for it.
they've got a pretty good track record with Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, Jurassic World Velocicoaster. There's probably another one in there somewhere that I'm missing, but
Gringotts is Gringotts also Intamin?
Yeah.
great. Yeah, so they do really good work. So we're very excited. I think, when we had ended kind of last year's shows with Jessica Gardner, the theme parkette, Eric's buddy from the Ace Spring Con, where he did the interview with her. She was talking about how we like as soon as she stepped foot onto the IAAPA Expo show floor, there was a press event for I think Night Flight Expedition, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But in order to get to the mock rides booth, you had to walk right by Intamin, who didn't have a press event of any kind. But they knew what they were doing because the Hollywood Drift, one of the cars, and this thing is just badass, honestly. It was right there for everybody to see, and I think it's again over the past 4 years and change, however we want to define when this coaster was kind of first thrown out there. The anticipation, rather, Eric, you're right. It has been building for a long time. I've got a buddy who works in Los Angeles. In his office, he's got a view of Universal from his office, so he can see this coaster. So, little upset that he gets to look at that every day, and I don't.
I'm gonna say he should be sending us construction photos daily.
He listens to the podcast, so Clint, get on that. Anyway, Evan, do you have any? How quick are you going to get out to the West Coast? I think that was in your gear and review.
Yeah,
you get out to the West
I definitely
Coast.
have my eyes on Magic Mountain and Knott's. I was at Disneyland a couple years ago, so I'm all good there until they put their new Avatar area in. But definitely excited for this new. I echo what Eric's been saying. This definitely feels the most new and exciting and different. And also, I wanted to keep in mind the implications that this has on Universal Studios Orlando. Just rumors are swirling about what is going to replace Rip Ride Rockit. So I hope it's the Ghostbusters themed version of this, and I also hope this meets the expectations, because if this doesn't, then I think people are going to be a little up in arms about what's coming to Orlando.
Well, you mean you don't want two Fast and the Furious themed rides at Universal Orlando? If for whatever reason, whatever's coming to Universal to replace Rip Ride and Rocket isn't Ghostbusters, say it's Fast and the Furious, like everybody on TikTok is convinced. Do we think that means the end of the fancy party bus van, slow moving, whatever? The best part of that ride is the pre-show.
I think you let that franchise die with that atrocious ride that I've never been on, but have no desire to go on.
The pre-show is the best. Pre-show is the best part, and that's saying something, which is whatever. Anyway, Fast and the Furious, Hollywood Drift, opening Universal Studios, Hollywood. We don't have an opening date yet, so nope. Eric thinks sometime early this year. I think
it's got to at least be the first half of the year, right?
Yeah,
depends how much more like theming and sort of sound protection and construction they have to do, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this thing's testing. Like, I feel like it's done its labs, it's done its commissioning. But if you've done, it's like on Epic Ride, that streaming documentary, they talked about the commissioning process for Stardust Racers and how this thing does laps after laps after laps. So hopefully soon. Let's say I'm gonna make a prediction. I'm gonna say second quarter of 2026.
I think April or May is where I would put my dollar if I had to.
Of the Fast movie coming out, or am I imagining things? Because I feel like we just have to leak Vin Diesel's calendar and just see when he's free.
Part 2, it's like 12.
Part 2 of 12.
Jeez. Oh boy. Anyway, maybe then we will. We're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to come back over to the eastern part of the United States, not quite the East Coast. Last year, well, I guess 2024 or 2025, I don't remember when she was on the podcast, but we had Logan from Kentucky Kingdom on the show talking about all things Discovery Meadow, their new kind of family-themed area, bringing this Hershon family entertainment vibe to Kentucky Kingdom. And when we had her on the show, we were talking about the second part, phase 2 of Discovery Meadow, and it was earmarked for $14 million. And we know what that $14 million is going to be now. It is going to be Flying Fox, which is one of these Vekoma family inverted coasters, custom design, probably similar to, but with a different footprint to Dragonflyer at Dollywood. Personally, I feel like these coasters are a ton of fun as someone who, again, just will ride pretty much any coaster. Shut up, Eric. Don't judge me.
Yeah, these are good. No judgment from riding them.
Yeah. And I think it's the, it's the first new coaster at Kentucky Kingdom since, they've changed all the names. Oh, there it is. Kentucky. It's the first new roller coaster at Kentucky Kingdom since Kentucky Flyer in 2019, which, again, family-friendly Gravity Group wooden coaster. So we're seeing maybe a transition more towards families with Kentucky Kingdom, and I don't have a problem with that because they've still got Wind Chaser and they've still got Lightning Run. Lightning Run didn't change. So I have to remember all of these new names. Wind Chaser used to be Storm Chaser. Anyway, I think Kentucky Kingdom, they've got a good one on their hands if they make this anything like Dragonflyer. Evan, what do you think?
Yeah, I did Dragonflyer back in March. Super fun ride. It's very punchy for a kiddie one, so I feel like adults get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And those rides always add value, especially when you have two trains. I know that's kind of been the issue with obviously different with the Phoenix one in Busch Gardens Tampa. I know that's kind of been a capacity issue, but from what I remember from Dragonflyer, that one, the line moved pretty fast for a kids one, and I know those lines get very busy, but I feel like they're always welcome additions to any park. I've been wanting to get to Kentucky Kingdom for a couple years now. They have this Louder Than Life rock festival, which is like in the parking lot of Kentucky Kingdom. So definitely looking to try to get over there soon.
Yeah, we went. Eric, were you on that trip?
Yes, yeah, to Kentucky Kingdom.
Yeah, we went a couple years ago when I think Storm Chaser was either the year it opened.
I think it's a lot more than a couple of years ago at this point.
It's
decade ago ish.
That might have been the second Coaster 101 meetup, maybe the first time ever that a bunch of us had been met in person. And John was like in the hospital, like pulled an IV drip with him to the park. Not really, but it's been a minute, which is saying something. It means we've just been doing this for far too long. But I had a good time at Kentucky Kingdom. And I think with all this money and time and effort that they're putting into the Discovery Meadow area, I think it's that next step. And it's, for a while, I think Kentucky Kingdom was that park that everybody thought was kind of like, it was on the come up. Like, oh, Ed Hart brought it back. Oh, Ed Hart put in Lightning Run and Storm Chaser, now Wind Chaser. Right? That's the name of the coaster.
Yeah.
Yep. I will never stop changing coasters' names, Parks. Just stop it.
But, he didn't read his name.
Yeah. They were on the come up, and then they kind of Hirsch and Bottom, and everyone was like, this is great. And then they got like cinnamon bread, and that was it for a while. But I'm excited. I think it's a good win for Kentucky Kingdom. $14 million for a family friendly roller coaster it seems high to me, but that's the way the economy works right now with inflation and things like that. So I'm excited. I don't know if it'll get me out to the park this year because Louisville is deceptively hard to get to from Charlotte. It's like a really long, inconvenient drive or a really expensive flight because it's not that far. So I don't know if it'll get me there, but maybe it will. Who knows? Let's see what else is on this list. Oh, coasters that we know are opening. Actually, we've got opening dates for these next coasters. This is the Galactic Coaster at Legoland, Florida, and Legoland, California, and they have opening dates. I believe in January or February of this year. I'll look it up. But
I think Florida is February, and I think California is later in the year. June is what RCDB has.
Got it. Well, these are two coasters. I believe they're the largest investments in their respective parks' history. First roller coaster at Legoland, Florida, specifically since
I think it's like 14 years or something.
Yeah, it's since the Great Lego Race in 2011. So yeah, we're looking at 15 years right now.
I think the California one's even longer. I think over 20 years since they last put a coaster in. Obviously, they put lots of other things in, but
yeah, it's. And I know there's an element of interactivity here. They sent us a press release talking about you could kind of design your ride vehicle and what it will look like. I think kind of the old test track. I think there's up to 60 combinations of things you can do just to make your galactic star cruiser. I think can we use that phrase? Are we allowed to use that phrase now?
Shane's not here.
Okay, fair enough. So to make your spacecraft look the way it looks, these are both indoor coasters, I believe. So not a lot. I've been seeing at least online about the construction of them because it's in a big box.
Yeah,
and have you guys ever been to a Legoland?
I have actually not.
I was at the California one, like, when I was probably like 7 or 8. I have the driver's license somewhere from when you do the car. But yeah, I've done that. I feel like I've done one of those like random Lego Discovery Centers, and there's the one everybody forgets about, the one in New York, not too far from the city, which I still haven't been to.
Yeah. Okay. So Evan, you went as a 7 or 8 year old. I've been to Legoland, Florida as an adult. I was 30 because that's a normal thing that people do. But you know what? I had a ton of fun at this park because it's a great way to kind of unleash your inner child. There's plenty of places to build Legos, and everybody, at least most people I know grew up building some form of Legos or Mega Blocks or something like that. So I think Legoland does a really good job of like harnessing that nostalgia. And I know the Legoland Park in New York, they've got that factory dark ride where you like become a Lego brick or a Lego minifigure, which is really cool. I think again, if these coasters are anything good, and I have only ridden Snoopy's Racing Railway at Carowinds as the only art engineering coaster that I've ever ridden, and that was this year, and I had a really good time. I think that the ride was smooth. That this was they had a tire propelled launch, all that good stuff. So art engineering, I think they obviously as a smaller manufacturer are maybe slept on a little bit, but for families, I think that family coaster market is right in their wheelhouse. And I think if if the money is spent the way it is being spent at Legoland, and I like I said, I think these are what are they $50 million? I don't even know. They're expensive additions, so we'll have to wait and see, but we don't have to wait too long, which is nice. Um, Eric, I want to talk to you because you put this on the list,
Mm-hmm.
and this is another coaster. It's a coaster I feel like that's like it closed. Oh yeah, we're going to reopen it next year, and then next year became next year, and then next year became 25, and then we haven't heard anything about this coaster this summer. We're talking about Montezuma's Revenge, which has a fancy new name that's really long and
Yeah,
involves
Forbidden
storytelling.
Fortress, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it was one that God, when it closed in 2022, and then Permeter was going to redo it because it was, it's an old Schwarzkopf shuttle launch flywheel model, which I assume was too expensive to maintain or something like that. So they were going to update with, I assume, some sort of other kind of launch. And I think was supposed to open in 2023, and then like that got delayed. I think they even said it was delayed. Then there were a bunch of rumors that it was actually never, it was going to be scrapped because there was, I don't know, something in a investor call. Maybe it was after the merger or before the merger about like reducing coaster portfolio or canceling projects or something. But then maybe in 2024, but definitely last summer, there were like videos and pictures of track showing up on site and stuff. I think like the loop got finished and things like that. So it clearly was like construction had restarted on it, but there's been no like actual announcement about it opening. But there was actual work happening this past year, so it seems like now 4 years later that it might actually open sometime this year. It's not a big coaster. There's not a ton of construction that has to happen on it. So I'm crossing my fingers that it opens sometime this year.
If you were a betting man, would you put any money on the fact that it opens this year?
Yeah, I would be surprised. Like, I think if it was going to die, it would have died 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, and they certainly wouldn't have been doing any work on it in 2025. And the fact that they were doing work on it in 2025, like it doesn't. Why they're not doing that for a 2027 opening of it, right? That doesn't make any sense. Why would they have spent a bunch of money in 2025 on that? So I think there had actually been an announcement sometime in 2023 or 2024 saying that it was going to open in 2025. That obviously didn't happen, but
Okay,
there's something going on there. And like, I would bet money that it will happen this year. I'm
it's
not
a,
sure. I'm not sure I'm like super confident in that, but better than 50%, which means it's a good bet.
it's yeah. We're talking minus money right now. So yeah, we're okay. Okay. Evan, I want to get over to your kind of neck of the woods. Not really close to you, but again, we're talking delayed coasters now. We got to talk Quantum Accelerator at Six Flags New England, which will open this year. It was done. I feel like these Intamin, um, what are they called? Straddle coasters. I think there was something that shut all of them down last year, but I believe that's been fixed. But what are your thoughts on Quantum Accelerator at Six Flags New England?
Yeah, I'm excited. I had my eyes set on it. I know we'd had, like, media day was lined up, and I was good to go. And then like 2 days before, that's when they sent the notice out. And that was a rough time for all the ones. Especially like we rode Dark Coaster like 2 weeks before that happened. And that was also the time when Verbolten also went down, so it seemed like that. It seemed like there was a lot of issues going on. I don't know if there was maybe an intimate issue. I don't know. But it's definitely something the park needs in my eyes, just that they don't have a launch coaster. I wish it was a little bit bigger and badder than what they're putting in. But it seems like a really fun layout. It seems like a long layout, which I'm excited for. Just given the ride time and what that looks like. But I enjoyed my time on Dark Coaster, so definitely exciting to see what a longer version of that might look like. And then also with the lack of Northeast coasters opening this year, I feel like they have a pretty big ticket to punch with this one.
Yeah, I think so, and I'm excited. I think last year, obviously, we really wanted this coaster to open. It's a bummer that it didn't, but I completely understand why. And having ridden Dark Coaster, are you and I'll admit this. I am not super familiar with Six Flags New England. I visited one time like 2 years ago that was like a coaster credit smash and grab, but I didn't get on like 2 or 3 coasters because like I didn't fit on Wicked Cyclone. I'm still mad at that. Like, are you worried about the capacity that, these family launch coasters have? Like, I know Dark Coaster normally puts up like hour 90-minute queues just because of the limited capacity of these trains and kind of how long the boarding takes, things like that. Are you worried about the capacity at all?
Yeah, I am. I mean, like, Dark Coaster had the benefit of being an indoor coaster, so I feel like that had that going for it. But this park was lacking like kind of a middle of the road family coaster, and the ones that they have right now aren't that great. They have Gotham City Gauntlet, which is just like a souped up wild mouse, and they have the spinning coaster, blanking on the name. But I feel like it does kind of fit that family coaster crowd. And from my experience going to the park, I went there a couple times with a travel camp, so it's definitely a big touch point for a lot of groups passing through New England. It's like deceivingly far from Boston, but if you're heading up towards Vermont or New Hampshire, like any part of upstate New York, it's very much on the way. And like being the only park in the area that's like, I would say, bigger. You have Lake Compounce, which is the smaller park, and then Quasi, and then make your way up to Six Flags Great Escape. But I feel like this is kind of something that the park is needing. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, I'm concerned about the capacity issues, but I feel like hopefully they have 2 trains, if not 3, that will just satisfy the crowds for that.
Okay.
Neither of you have been to SeaWorld San Antonio, I think, right?
Not yet.
So
No.
The one time I've been there, I don't remember Wavebreaker having capacity problems. It was a very not busy day at the park, but I wonder if there's something about Dark Coaster with its like relatively small station space and being indoors that makes it a slower loading experience than an outdoor, more traditional version of these.
And I think Dark Coaster, they're limited by the trains. I think they've only got 5 rows. It looks Quantum Accelerator will have 8 cars,
which is what
train.
Wavebreaker, I think, is 8 cars.
Okay, well then maybe we'll be fine. Maybe I'm just over-exaggerating for the sake of over-exaggerating. I really want to get up to New England and ride this because I think these coasters are a ton of fun. I loved Dark Coaster when I got on it for the first time. So I, Evan, if we get re-invited to Media Day, I might have to come with you.
Come through.
I'll come to you. I've never been.
All right. Well, maybe Eric will go. I don't know. We can't overrun the Media Day. It's not how that works.
We've done it before.
This is true. Shout out to Big Bad Wolf's Revenge and Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I want to talk a little bit because like there are, we said it's a little bit of a down year, There are some new parks that are scheduled to open in 2026. A couple in the United States. We've got Coda Land. Obviously, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit. I got to talk about the elephant in the room, and this is coming from somebody who was just in Phoenix for work at the end of October and beginning of November. Mattel Adventure Park. Do we think, and this was originally announced, I feel like 2021. It's like it's going to open in 23. It's going to open in 2024. We had them on the podcast, and I had a lovely conversation with Cindy Emmerich, who was their like VP of ride design. Amazing conversation. And they're like, it's going to open next year. It's now the year after next year, and we're still not open. And based on my way of thinking, I don't know if 26 is the year, because there was still so much to do. And for a while, this park was being built like gangbusters, and it was just going up, going up. You know, you saw the two Hot Wheels coasters kind of popping in and out of that show building, and you can see them from the highway. You can see them right from right down the road from the Cardinal Stadium, State Farm Stadium, or whatever it's called now. But I don't think it opens in 2026. It's we talked about the betting on Montezuma, and I don't know if you guys have any more insight or have seen anything that would say differently. I don't think 2026 is the year for this park. I I'm hoping I'm wrong, but there was a lot of progress and construction was being done, and I had heard rumors that they had stopped construction, but I did see people working on the resort. I saw people working on the presumably what's going to be the amusement park. The uh, the go kart track is built. The most of the coaster train or coaster track is built. There looks to be a billboard in the way on the highway that is blocking the coaster from being finished, like it's some bizarre world roller coaster tycoon. Like, you cannot remove this scenery.
It's because
So
I mean, I feel like even in 2024 it looked like the coaster had like there were loops up and stuff. Like
yeah,
the big hard looking parts of assembling the coaster were done a year plus ago, right?
yeah. There's still like, again, it's like in Roller Coaster Tycoon when your budget is down to like enough for like two pieces of track, and then the month switches and you have to pay all your bills, and then you go into the red, and that's kind of what it feels like here. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Trust me, because those coasters far and away will be, and it's not a high bar to clear, mind you, they will be the best coasters in Arizona, like leaps and bounds above everything else in that state. And I say this because I rode three coasters in Arizona on that trip. I went to
There aren't really any parks in Arizona, are there? I
there's
assume you're going to say you went to some family entertainment centers.
I went to Castles and Coasters, which is very much a family entertainment center that I feel like is stuck in the year 1994. I rode their two coasters. They were nothing special. I will say I did go to Schnepp Farms, which is I wouldn't even call it a family entertainment center. It's a farm that had a pumpkin and chili festival and a 1950s world's largest portable roller coaster called the Gravity Roller Coaster. That might have been my favorite roller coaster ride of 2025. I'm not even kidding. It was just the vibe at that place was amazing. That said, if Mattel Adventure Park can open, the bar it's on the floor. All they have to do is step over it. So we're waiting, and plus the world needs more of these. Like that, the one Hot Wheels coaster is a Chance GTX Hyper with a loop. We need more of these.
Which is also a like these are still being built. Like, how is Chance making a coaster that they're the only one that ever opened was Lightning Run, right?
Exactly.
Over a decade ago, and they're theoretically building. I mean, I think the Mattel Adventure Park in Kansas City is even, or Kansas, wherever it is in Kansas, even funnier since RCDB has the Hot Wheels coaster going there, scheduled to open in 2031. which is
So
not.
soon.
Think that's too far out to really schedule an opening.
It's
I
right
wish
after the Chiefs open their new stadium.
I wish this park opened when it was supposed to, because I had to look that the Barbie movie came out in 2023, and I remember that being like a big plug when they first announced this park, that like, oh, we're gonna have a Barbie land, and like they would have raked in the money when that came out.
Mattel
But I
was
feel like
huge.
now that movie being 3 years ago at this point, like they kind of missed their mark on it. But I mean, I like you said, like Phoenix does not have a very high bar at all for these, so I feel like if they can get it open within the year, that'd be amazing. But who knows?
Yes, and south of Phoenix, down in outside of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, we're going to talk about the Bon Luxury Theme Park Resort. Um, there's 5 credits here. I didn't realize this. I thought it was just the Tekawani Beast, which Eric, you saw the train reveal at IAPA not this past year, but the year
Yeah.
before.
2024 IAPA. Yeah, it was the. I mean, if you go back, you can find our articles or listen to probably the podcast episode that Shay and I joined you for to talk about that IAPA, and it was easily the most exciting coaster related thing we saw at that IAPA. Both because we didn't know anything about it; it was a surprise. The train looked very cool, but also that it's got this. It's a Vekoma double launch coaster with 6 inversions. It looks fantastic back then. I think they knew it was always scheduled to open sometime in 2026. But yeah, 3 other Vekoma rides opening there. I think at least 2 of which are family coasters of some kind.
Yep.
And then I think a mock spinning coaster, something like that, is the 5th one. But yeah, I mean, there's not. So far, it's mostly still just renderings of these things. If you like go on our CDB and look at them, but the concepts all look cool.
Yeah,
And
it is.
It's certainly one that I'd be like, I'd be very tempted to go down and check that out when it opens. Hopefully it opens this year. But it's also, I think, part of a big resort that's maybe already there, and so hopefully that means it's a little more likely to actually open, since there's already something there than maybe what's happening with the Mattel Adventure Park.
That's fair. Yeah, this looks fun. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's 3 Vekoma family coasters, and then there is a Mock Rise inverted power coaster that's similar to Arthur. Arthur being at where is this, Europa Park. So yeah, I think it's again, if we can get new parks that open that have 5 credits, even wherever they are in the world, I mean that's a benefit for us in the industry, or us as fans of the industry rather. So
Yeah.
Time to go to Puerto Vallarta, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, from what it looked like a year and a couple months ago, Tequani Beast would be one of my top most anticipated coasters this year if it turns out the way that it looked in that IAPA
Yeah,
announcement.
the POV looked incredible for whatever that was. I think it seems like this. It seems like it's gonna happen, but I feel like especially with those parks, like you don't have the same level of like boots on the ground or bio reconstruct that you would for these other ones. So it's like almost like a Six Flags Qiddiya in my mind. Like it'll just like show up one day and have its grand opening with robots flying through it.
Yeah, we should try and get on the media invite list for that.
We should.
That's really what I need to do.
Let's cover luxury resorts in addition to theme parks. It'll be good. And then also opening later this year in Texas, we've got the Universal Kids Resort. There's not a ton to talk about this. I mean, we are 3 grown men, and some of us, eventually we're going to have families. Like some of us who write for Coaster101 have kids. This is more their speed, but I know as coaster enthusiasts, everybody would like to know there are 2 roller coaster credits here at Universal Kids Resort, which is, I think there's a Jurassic World coaster and I think a Trolls coaster. Both family rides, nothing special, but I think this kind of micro amusement park trend, your Peppa Pig theme parks, Universal Kids Resort, there's some smaller parks out there that are like, again, designed as half day parks for families. And I think Universal Kids Resort it's a definite step out of what Universal has been doing, with parks like Epic Universe and what they're going to do in Great Britain that opens in 2030, 2031, whenever that's going to be. But this is an interesting case study, I feel like, for Universal destinations and whatever they're. It's not Universal Parks and Resorts anymore. It's Universal Destinations and things. I think. I don't know what it is, but it's an interesting case study. What do you guys think about kind of Universal going into this smaller micro park world?
It gets me one step closer to them building a park outside of New York City. I always think about like the Disney park that never was outside of DC. So I feel like we haven't seen movement like this in a while. Like maybe the last one was SeaWorld, Ohio, where you have like one of those big Florida cement parks coming to another part of the country. So I think this has a good foundation for what could be, and if they will like rinse and repeat this in other parts of the country, because I don't know who's really flying to Dallas just for this park. Like I feel like you're gonna be doing something else with your family and being like, hey, let's go to here for half a day before we see your cousins. So it's like it's very interesting to see what this will become of.
I think my assumption with these is that the targets are locals or people who are already visiting a metro area because of other attractions it has, but they've got small kids, and so you say, oh well, one of these days or one of these afternoons we'll go to the Universal Kids Park, which I would make like in my mind that's like, okay, these things would be built near like big metro areas that can sustain them anyway, where there are people who don't want to fly to Florida or Los Angeles but like will happily take their kids to ride a Jurassic World ride that's outside the city they live in.
Yeah, I think
it'd be great in Phoenix if the Mattel Park never opens. They should go in there.
I mean, maybe we can just rebrand it and we'll call it Universal Teen Resort because it's the roller coasters have loops. But you talk about Texas as not a destination. I think for theme park enthusiasts in North America this year, Texas is the place because not only do you have the Universal Kids Resort, you've got coasters opening at. You've got a whole new park eventually that will open at Circuit of the Americas, and it's weird to say because it is technically open. Circuit Breaker, their tilt coaster, opened during the F1 race, but they've still got Palindrome, that Gerstlauer Infinity shuttle coaster that kind of goes over the main entrance to Circuit of the Americas. They also have the hamster wheel coaster from Funplex Myrtle Beach that operated for like a year and then was like, yeah, real estate's actually expensive and this was not the best idea for us. So we're going to sell all the rides and the property. So that coaster that I've ridden, I rode it in Myrtle Beach because that's what I did. It's going to be in Texas now, and it's one of 6 coasters at Codaland. But I think Palindrome looks like a ton of fun. It's got some crazy airtime inversions. I think that kind of roll over the main entryway is going to be fun. And then I think there's so much that goes on at Coda. I know they've got a NASCAR race, they've got the F1 race, they've got all this land out there. And I know we had Matt Huey on the podcast, I think in 2024 as well. It's easy to be jazzed about this park. I feel like there's a lot going on, and I think it's kind of like when you've got somebody like the ownership of Circuit of the Americas who's like, yeah, I want to build an amusement park. Here's money, go. I think you get some cool things like Circuit Breaker and like Palindrome. And then, even some smaller rides like the Texas Wildcat, I think is the coaster there. Some of these coasters were open throughout the winter for ACE events and things like that. But Codaland, I believe, is going to open. I'm hoping at some point in 2026 fully, just because they are hosting the Golden Ticket Awards next year, and it seems kind of counterproductive if your whole park isn't open to host those awards. You guys have any plans or thoughts to get to Austin and get to Circuit of the Americas?
I thought this park was already open. I'm so confused by all of this. Haven't they all? There's a bunch of these rides have been open at various times. Why isn't this? What do you mean this park's not open?
I don't think it's fully open.
The Circuit Breaker POV, yeah, RCDB said it opened on October 17th, 2025. So
when they,
I don't know what.
Yeah. Anyways, I mean that's like it might not be fully open, but what a confusing rollout. I don't have any specific plans to go. I will. No, we try and always be very positive and optimistic here, Andrew. But man, every time I like watching part of the F1 race, I'm like, God, the Circuit of the Americas, the whole setting looks so ugly to me. big flat nothingness with a bunch of asphalt. That looks like it might be the most miserable park to go to during the like 6 months of the year. The Texas is extremely hot. But the rides look good, so I could see myself probably not this year, but maybe winter 2027. Better be open year round, right?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be open when there's not. I think the park itself is open. Like right now, the rides are open when there's like festivals.
When there's an event going on.
Yeah, but the park itself, I think, is going to open at some point this year. So I think that's how that works. Okay. We're now, again, because everything is bigger in Texas, we're talking about maybe I'm thinking 1A and 1B. We talked about Hollywood Drift. I think Tormenta, Rampaging Run, the first B&M Giga Dive Coaster at Six Flags Over Texas. Again, we're 1A and 1B for the best coasters in North America this year. And like Tormenta, I think, is going to be insane. And that's not just because we had, Jeffrey Siebert on the podcast to talk about it. And he, when the coaster was announced, had me ready to run through a brick wall. And when he was on the podcast, he had me ready to run through a brick wall. I really think this thing is going to be certifiably insane.
I hope this is everything it's cracked up to be. I mean, like, I'm looking at the recent track history of B&M dives, of the shake, rattle, and rolls of the new ones. So I'm hoping this kind of breaks that curse and that mindset around these new ones. I know there's always a little bit of hesitation with like, oh, is it going to have a rattle? But I mean, you put in a 300-foot roller coaster and like it's a hype regardless of whatever it is. So I'm definitely excited, and especially after having ridden Griffin recently at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, like I think this is going to be all that it's meant to be.
I think so. And I think, the inversions, the beyond vertical drop, all of these things, I can't wait to get to the top of that thing and stare 300 feet down on that holding brake. And then you go into an Immelman loop that's taller than like 80%, 90% of roller coasters in the world. That loop itself, just the Immelman that comes out of that dive. That to me is going to be insane. So I know there's a lot we've talked about. We've gone in depth into a lot of these coasters. I think if you really want to go in depth on Tormenta, go back into our archives, like, I don't know, I think it's like 7 or 8 shows ago. Find the episode with Jeffrey Siebert, who is the general manager of all of the Texas parks. I don't think that's his actual title, but that's what he is. He is over all of the Six Flags Texas parks, and we go deep into Tormenta and kind of what the mindset of Six Flags Over Texas was in building this. I do know Eric, you were talking about concrete plans. I do know we are working hard to come up with a weekend where it makes sense for all of us to get down to Texas and kind of actually have this big group, all of the riders for Coaster101 in one place for the first time ever, I think. Like we're up to 10 of us who write for this website. So if we can get 10 adults schedules to work out, one, first of all, miracle in itself. But two, I think this would be a fantastic opportunity to get the Coaster101 team together, because most of us haven't been to Six Flags Over Texas or Fiesta Texas. So it's going to be a good time. But if you're listening to this and want to come hang out with us, we'll talk about that later. But sometime this year, it's going to happen. I feel like. And then last but well, maybe least, in Texas in 2026, we've got Barracuda Strike at SeaWorld San Antonio. It's a B&M family invert. It's the third to open at the United Parks and Resorts. It is the shortest in length, but I think might be the tallest. It's 90 feet tall and 1,800 feet long. And I think this coaster, it's currently under construction. The concept art makes it look like it's underwater, which I don't think is actually possible. But you guys, I mean, we talked about Big Bad Wolf, Wolf's Revenge earlier. You guys got to ride that during Media Day. I did not. Those restraints were not kind to me. But what do you guys think of the B&M family inverts? I know this is the third one. We've got Phoenix Rising. We've got Big Bad Wolf. How do you guys think this is going to kind of stack up to the two of those?
So I haven't been on Phoenix Rising, only Big Bad Wolf, but I think all of us liked it. There's I think a review on the website where we all put in some comments about it. The thing with, I mean, good rides. I'm sure it'll be a solid, fun family coaster anyway. I think why Big Bad Wolf felt so fun to all of us was partly the theming and like it was paced really nicely, the onboard audio, all things like that. The Busch Gardens parks have historically been a little stronger in the theming area than the SeaWorld parts, even though they all have the same ownership. So I think that will be the like, I think question for me of like, how does this stack up to the others of like, okay, does it have kind of that storytelling and like little details that made Big Bad Wolf feel like something that was interesting and different and fun?
Yeah.
Do we have a layout yet for what this is? I feel like I've only seen that one piece of concept art.
It's underwater. No, I haven't seen a full layout. I know it's like I said, it's got it is Barracuda Strike, 1,800 feet of track. Haven't seen a layout, but
there are pictures of construction on RCDB. It's going up, so you'd think there'd be some overhead shot at this point from somebody with a drone that would give a sense of the layout. But
yeah, we don't have that, but construction is vertical, so it will open at some point during 2026. Another good family ride, I think. But yeah, no shortage of coasters and attractions opening in Texas this year. Holy smokes! Like that is roller coaster like hotbed. Like the way Florida kind of was with Epic Universe last year, I think that's Texas this year, with maybe a little bit of California mixed in. Another, a couple other smaller coasters I want to touch on real quick before I dive into what I am probably most excited for. Obviously, Six Flags Mexico, they're getting a Vekoma family boomerang called the Speedway Stunt Coaster. So no IP. No, it's a family coaster that's an off-the-shelf model, and if I'm a fan of Six Flags Mexico, I'm wondering to myself, how do we go from potentially getting Siren's Curse, which was an amazing ride that opened in 2025 at Cedar Point? How did we go from that to this? And I'm sure there are things that are way above my pay grade and way above my knowledge of how Six Flags Mexico works. I feel like there was something that happened with like cutting trees down and things like that where it was, not feasible to get Siren's Curse. But if you're a coaster enthusiast in Mexico and they were telling you, yes, you're getting Siren's Curse. The parts showed up. The parts disappeared. The parts ended up in Sandusky, Ohio, and now the parts you're getting are the same ride as the Snoopy ride at Kings Island. Snoopy, I don't even know what it's called. It's Snoopy's Racing Railway. Maybe that's a Canada's Wonderland and Carowinds. Never mind. But again, this is an off-the-shelf coaster. How would you guys feel?
I feel like this is like your team expecting to land that superstar free agent, and then you settle on a bench player. So it's just like I feel I'd hate to be someone who's like a frequent visitor of Six Flags Mexico and be in their shoes and expect this big bad attraction that's going to change the trajectory of your park, and then next year you get this off the shelf family coaster. I mean, at least they're getting something, which is more to say than some other parks, but it's just I feel it's a huge letdown after what would have and should have been.
It's like hiring Bill Belichick and going 4-8. But so all right, cool. Dunked on my own alma mater. It's great. Anyway, and then I got to show a little bit of love, even though these aren't in North America. Our buddy Adam Sandy over at Sam Perla, they've got the first double heart that is opening in Korea at Lotte World.
Lotte World, Busan. Should clarify, not the one in Seoul. It's the one in Busan. I saw they had concept art of this before it was announced where it was going, what it was called at IAAPA in 2024, and it looked cool and impressive and big then. And their newer concept art also looks cool and impressive. It'll be I have no plans to go ride it, but I'm excited to see how it actually looks when it goes up.
Yes, and along with that, they've also got Cayubi Unchained at Parc Spiro Province in France. So we've got an Italian manufacturer making a roller coaster to park in France that is themed to Japanese anime.
Yeah, which they announced at the 2024 IAAPA.
Yeah, so
they had layouts and POV, I think, at least a rendered POV of it back then.
Yeah, so shout out to Zamperla. You guys are crushing it, obviously. I want to talk. Okay, this is a coaster that maybe for me, we're moving on to, I think, was the biggest shock announcement at this year's IAAPA. And it's close, near and dear to my heart, mainly because it's like a 2-hour drive from me, all the way down in Myrtle Beach. Family Kingdom Amusement Park, one of the few seaside amusement parks, and I believe the furthest south seaside amusement park on the East Coast. They're getting an RMC Raptor. This was not on my bingo card. It wasn't on my 2025 bingo card. It wasn't on my IAAPA bingo card. It wasn't on my ever bingo card. But they're getting a Raptor at Family Kingdom. And we don't know anything about this other than the fact it's going to front Ocean Avenue, which I think it's Ocean Avenue, Ocean Boulevard. It's the main drag where all the hotels are in Myrtle Beach. It's replacing the go-karts. And kind of in there's that stretch, there's like a little strip of property where it's like the log flume and the go-karts are in Family Kingdom. I think that's all we know. Somebody I saw was down there. One of the content creators might have been like Adventures at Rock or somebody like that. I think they've started clearing for this. It's not vertical yet, to my knowledge, but I think they were down there for like New Year's Eve or over the Christmas holidays and posted pictures of that. I just saw that on Facebook. I'm excited. I'm just like, Family Kingdom is a park that is, I feel like, woefully underappreciated. Swamp Fox is an amazing wooden roller coaster. They've got the world's first Sally Dark Ride, Pistolero, the Great Pistolero Roundup, and now they're getting an RMC Raptor. And like, that's just, for that to be in Myrtle Beach is just, it blows my mind.
This feels very Air Force One to me. Obviously not the same extent of that, but I feel like I've driven by that Family Kingdom, but I've never been. But it sounds like you're just kind of adding a little bit more to what was there. But it's a cool addition, like regardless of like what ride type it is, but seeing like a big addition like that, it's always great to see.
For sure. You know, RMC's announcement at IAAPA was like, yeah, we're building a new coaster at a new park. And I was like, well, that's weird, because there aren't any new parks where we know there are RMCs going. But I think they meant it was a new to them park. And yeah, I think it was it's out of left field, and I can't wait to follow the progress, because it's, again, right in my backyard. Eric, were you going to say something?
I mean, this was sort of the point of the Raptor design, right? Is that it's compact and it's affordable. So smaller parks can put them in, but they pack a lot of thrill into that small footprint and relatively low cost.
Yes. Well, we've reached out to Family Kingdom. I've sent them a couple emails trying to get them on the podcast, so maybe they will. Maybe they'll bite, and we'll talk about this on a future episode for sure. And then we got to talk about a coaster that may or may not be a coaster credit, depending on who you ask. Night Flight Expedition at Dollywood, which again I think will probably win some award for the best new attraction in North America next year. I think it's got to be there. But it is this Mack rocking boat ride. It's a enormous investment from Dollywood. What do you guys? What do you think about Night Flight Expedition?
I hope it's as good as it looks. When I was in Dollywood in May, I did the train that went around the show building, and it is massive. Like it is probably like half of what Wildwood Grove is now. So like whatever they can fit inside of there, and a $50 million investment is something special. Like you're gonna put all of your weight into it. So I'm hoping it's as good as it looks and interactive, and the theming is up to par with the renderings that they have. Like it to me, it kind of seems like a souped up like Journey to Atlantis type ride, and with everything that I've seen with those models overseas, like it looks like a ride type that Universal's going to use at some point. Disney's probably going to use. So it just seems like it has a lot of potential for what could be different layouts and things to kind of go along with the theming for this.
Yeah, so, I mean the renderings and the description of it all sound awesome. I mean, I am a fan of dark rides and hybrid coaster dark rides. I went to Efteling this past summer, and the Flying Dutchman there, which the first half is basically a Pirates of the Caribbean like dark ride, and then you've got a water coaster at the end. And this feels like maybe something the more modern version of that. I know. I think I assume it was John that was there relatively recently and posted a construction update on the website that like the building sure looks big. It's like it certainly looks like it should be impressive and a big investment from Dollywood. I think like you said, Evan, I hope it's as cool as it sounds and looks like it's going to be. It certainly looks like something that would make me consider a trip back to Dollywood sometime in the next year.
Our CDB doesn't list it as a coaster. Do we think it's a coaster credit?
I feel like didn't the Dollywood GM like go on the floor on IAPA and say that it was a credit? I feel like there's some reputable source there that said it is.
What would you call all the pictures of this track that are in John's construction update? It's obviously a roller coaster.
That's okay. I'm with you. Listen. I'm the type of person who counts the haunted house at Camden Park, where they like you. It's the world's smallest wild house where they catch you at the end of the track. I count that as a credit. So I totally get it. Like I'll count it as a credit because I think credit counting is subjective and in the eye of the beholder, and whatever people do to count their credits, that's it. It's what works for them. Except for that one guy online who wanted to count the Beast as a new credit when they added 3 feet of additional track. So, anyway, crazy stuff. Gonna wrap this up. Gonna kind of run around the horn a little bit. There's a couple of refurbs, so not necessarily new coasters, but we are getting kind of new coaster experiences in 2026. First of which is Rock and Roller Coaster, no longer featuring Aerosmith, but is Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets. And realistically, I think if they recut the entire Aerosmith pre-show, if they recut that with the Muppets, Scooter is the agent, and Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem are the band, and you could just say it is literally shot for shot, word for word. It's like Doc G's like, hey, how about we do something for our fans? And it's like, if you could redo that just shot for shot, I think you've got a home run ride there. Like, it's like the question that goes around, it's like if you could replace all the characters in one movie except for one with Muppets, like what's the movie and who's the character. I feel like you could do this for Rock and Roller Coaster, and I think I like Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem. I did this when this news came out. I kind of just put a supercut version of Can You Picture That over like somebody's POV video, and it's synced up pretty well. I like that's what I think should happen. I don't know what will happen, but we'll I think that's scheduled to reopen middle of 2026, and they've already closed off the pre-show room where Steven Tyler makes inappropriate hand gestures at the audience. So maybe we can get Muppets making inappropriate hand gestures. Talk about fan service.
They had Taylor Swift sitting right there. Like, this feels like a huge miss to me. Like, when you have the biggest pop star in the world, biggest musician in the world on the cover of Disney Plus right now with her Eras Tour documentary, and everything else that she's had with Disney Plus. Like, I don't know what contract they threw in front of her, and she said no. But like, in a world that Star Wars fans and Swifties coexist, like, that would have been crazy to see.
Yeah, I think the thing is, at the end of the day, it's still a 27-year-old Vekoma launch coaster. Like, I don't think Taylor Swift's going to put her name on something that's not shiny and new. It's one of those things. It's like, why doesn't Taylor Swift do the halftime of the Super Bowl? Because she doesn't need to. She's going to get hers regardless. She doesn't need Walt Disney World audience, and she's not going to get a super stretch limo.
Whereas the Muppets, desperate to get more audience since Disney has blown up their other ride.
Come on.
Like, listen.
I'll also point out, I'm much more likely to go back to Hollywood Studios for a Muppets ride than I am for a Taylor Swift ride.
That's what
Nothing
I'm
against Taylor Swift, but she wasn't part of my childhood.
Listen, the Muppets are having a come up right now. They've got the Muppet Show coming back.
Yeah.
With Sabrina Carpenter. I mean, Sabrina Carpenter also right there. She was a Disney Channel star back in the day. So
we don't know. Maybe this ride's going to be full of current pop stars that maybe won't be as popular in 20 years, like Aerosmith.
Taylor Swift puppet.
Or live action. The Muppets always interact with real people. You never know.
Better idea. Dr. Teeth, Electric Mayhem, Can You Picture That? Make it happen. Go. Anyway. And another refurb is for Bolton at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. It's got some fancy new name. I know they're kind of upgrading the theming and the story, kind of like what they did with Loch Ness Monster a couple years ago. I know Bolton was down when we were all in Virginia last year for the Spring Con. I haven't really read up a ton about this. I'm assuming there's a new storyline. They're going to fix some of the effects inside because it was when I graduated college. So that was almost 15 years ago that opened.
Opened in 2012.
Yeah. So we're looking at 15 years, and sometimes theming can go a little bit by the wayside, but it's good on Busch Gardens Williamsburg for realizing that this is a fan favorite and plussing it up for a future generation. It didn't take 40 years like Loch Ness Monster for the theme and the story to deteriorate the way it did. But I hear the one thing I did see is like they're going to have like a new kind of backstory. So you're no longer going to go through the Greta and Gunter tour agency. So that probably means the end of the Auf Wiedersehen at the end of the ride. But if they improve what's in the box, as it were, kind of that dark space with the Dayglow paint and the very secret that nobody knows about, the drop track. Can we talk about that? It's been 15 years. Like, it's there. It's a thing. It's not a secret anymore. So
what are you yelling at, Andrew?
We know it's there.
We know. Where are you getting to?
I'm yelling at Evan just because. I was looking directly at him when I yelled that. It's the youth. They don't appreciate anything.
We don't know when it's going to reopen.
No.
This year, right? Just
no.
that it's
it's
closing and reopening at some
Yep.
point, and hopefully this year.
Yeah, so scheduled to reopen. So again, two pretty fun refurbs that I'm excited to see the end product. I think I'm more excited for, and I love Verbolten, but I am way more excited for the Muppets refurb, assuming it's done the right way. Because if it's not done the right way, I think it's gonna flop spectacularly. And then just to close this out real quick, we are a roller coaster podcast, but there's a handful of other new rides in the United States that are opening this year. I know Six Flags Magic Mountain has their new kids area. Kings Island has the Return of the Phantom Theater, which is a interactive dark ride with the animatronics that Sally Dark Rides is doing, kind of resurrecting this old legacy IP that the park had. It was Phantom Theater, then it became Scooby Doo, then it was Boo Blasters when that IP went away, and now it's going back to Phantom Theater. I really appreciate the level of fan service that Kings Island and Six Flags are putting forth. Kind of in the same vein of as the Knott's Berry Tales attraction a couple years ago, kind of bringing back that fan favorite IP that wasn't. It's not like a well known outside of the park. Like I think this, if done right, I think will be an amazing attraction in 2026. I think it's one that I'm looking forward to, and this is somebody who's never actually experienced the original Phantom Theater, but I love interactive dark rides, and I love that kind of the new generation of Sally animatronic figures. So I think Phantom Theater will be really good. Um, and then we've also got the Sequest Legends of the Deep dark ride at SeaWorld Orlando. Um, this ride vehicle was revealed at the IAPA Expo last year, and it was enormous. I'm hoping that SeaWorld has learned their lesson from the last time they tried to do kind of a family interactive undersea dark ride, which was at SeaWorld San Antonio or San Diego 2014, 2015, thereabouts. But that one was not very good. So,
It's SeaWorld Orlando definitely needs more kid-friendly attractions, though. So
yeah,
I think that is good that they're not building just another coaster.
yes. I think, I mean, you are the coaster capital of Orlando at SeaWorld, but I think it is time. You know, you had Expedition Odyssey kind of replaced the Wild Arctic last year. Um, the last time you tried a dark ride at SeaWorld Orlando, um, it was Emperor of the Penguin, and we all know how that turned out. Not great. Or Empire of the Penguin, whatever it was. It was the Penguin trackless dark ride that was like you waited in line for an hour and a half, and it was like a 45-second dark ride. It was not that great. Um, but I think they can do a much better job with the Sequest Legends of the Deep and kind of with that new tech. I always forget who the manufacturer is here. What, do you guys know that off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. Well, I'll find it. Vekoma suspended dark ride. So I think Vekoma, they can knock this out of the park. I think the new generation of Vekoma attractions are crushing it right now. So you know, if you can take the technology that has gone from the stealth Nighthawk Borg flying coaster all the way to fly and take that to a dark ride level, I think that's going to be fantastic. So, but yeah, I think 2026 very much shaping up to be a good year. Um, maybe not as good as 2025, but the good news is we get to actually like experience it and wait and see instead of writing it off on the first day of the year and being like, this year's gonna suck. But we're not gonna do that. Before we wrap this up, Eric, what coaster are you most looking forward to in 2026?
Oh, I feel like we already mentioned Fast and the Furious as a coaster is definitely what I'm most looking forward to. I think the other ones that, I mean, we sort of touched on the other ones that look like they'll be the best. I mean, Tormenta, I always like B&M dive coasters. I'll be curious to see like how different it feels than other ones. And then I think, I mean, if it like we talked about, if it is good as it sounds and looks like it could be, Night Flight Expedition seems like it would be a lot of fun. Don't know if I'll make it there this year, but that would be high on my list of ones I'd want to go try.
Evan, what about you?
I think I'm going to go with Tormenta here. I feel like that one's like the biggest one, so like that it seems like it's going to have the most potential, and like I love a good record-breaking coaster. So definitely excited to hopefully get down there in the spring and see how that one is for myself. And also, while I'm on my soapbox here, I hope 2026 is the end of the subtitle phase, because I feel like that's definitely a common theme with what we're seeing in ride names these days. And just tone it down. Let's do one part of a subject line here.
Well, just so you know, this episode is going to be 2026 : what? some kind of subtext. So we're just going to let you know there. For me, it's the Family Kingdom RMC because it's in my backyard. Obviously I'm very excited about Tormenta. Can't wait to get down to Texas. But again, RMC is building a Raptor coaster in Myrtle Beach. It is the coaster enthusiast Mad Lib that I never thought would happen, but it's happening. And I cannot wait. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Coaster101 podcast. If you're listening, make sure you're liking, rating, reviewing, subscribing, and doing all of those other buzzwords. It really helps us out. We've got a pretty solid rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And, if you like the show, tell your friends to listen, because then we get more listeners and then the stats go up, and everybody likes to see that. We have a website, Coaster101.com, for the latest and greatest news, reviews, interviews, and other words that end in EWS of roller coasters and the amusement industry. We're also on social media at Coaster101, anywhere you can consume the platform. So Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all these places. We're going to be more active on mostly the video ones in 2026. That's my resolution anyway. Thanks, as always, to JM Entertainment for our theme music. Eric, what's so funny?
It felt like you were waiting for Evan and I to also jump in and say that we would be more active on video. I'm not committed to that.
Yeah, it's going to be me, just like it is on this podcast, every week until I get busy. Then it might have to be you guys. Anyway, cool. Awesome. Well, with that, now that I know that I've got the rest of the Coaster101 team on my back for 2026, that's going to do it for this week's show. We will talk to you again soon. See you.